My name's Richard Duffy. I'm the Asia Pacific General Manager and Product Evangelist for Enterprise, and I'd like to thank you for taking time out to join us for today's webinar. What I'm going to be doing in today's webinar is I'm going to be talking with you briefly about one of the business processes in Enterprise. So every Thursday at this time, I will be running one of these webinars. So these are for you as partners. And so what we'll be doing is we'll be covering very specific topics in very small grabs. So, this is the first of those. And what we're covering today is we're covering the quote to delivery process with Enterprise. So as you know, and I'm not going to go through all the basics of Enterprise because I think most of you who are on today's session actually are familiar with what Enterprise is all about, but our focus with Enterprise is delivering a mobile and online experience for SAP Business One users that is simplified. So, what we really try to focus on is making it as quick and as easy and cost effective for SAP Business One customers and the users at those customers to access Business One functionality in a way that is, again, as I said, simplified. So, we've gone through in some of our previous sessions, we've gone through and we've talked about how Enterprise works. We've talked about the basic user interface of Enterprise. You start with your 360-degree view. You have your partner view in Enterprise, which gives you the ability to view all of your customers, suppliers, and colleagues. So in each one of these webinars, we're going to go into the specific details. So let's take a look at the quote to delivery process. So again, remember with Enterprise, you can basically go in here and you start off from a sales perspective. So you go in here into your quotes. Now, remember when you're looking at your quotes, these options are very, very important because sometimes partners come back and say, come back to me and say, well, look, we can't see all the data. Remember, a lot of the screens in Enterprise are pre-filtered because we make certain assumptions about the way that you work so you can get up and running quickly. So for example, you see here, it's basically saying show only my data. So you untick that and then of course you can see everything inside the system. The other thing to bear in mind is always when you're working with Enterprise, just have a quick scan over the screen. Because what you might find, for example, you might find that you have gone in and you've set up a filter to filter and show only the quotes for Earthshaker Corporation. So you might come in and say, why can't I see all my other customers? Keep an eye up here and look for this little pink filter icon. Now, not necessarily great if you're pink colorblind or purple or magenta or whatever color that's called, but anyway, let's call it pink for the sake of the exercise. But look for those filters, okay? And then of course, all you need to do is go in and you can and switch that filter off so you're showing all of your records. So anyway, we can go in here and we can start off with the sales quote. Now, good news, you are actually some of the first people to see the latest functionality which we have just released, which gives you now the ability to see the warehouses that you have your stock located in and also see the stock availability. So for example, if I go in here and we'll pick Earthshaker again because I love picking on them, I'm going to do them a quote for Earthshaker. It's for Bob McKensley, picking my addresses so that the system can calculate tax correctly when we turn this into an order for those countries where taxes are location specific. Because remember, we do pick up all of that SAP Business One localization. So here's my posting date. Well, I think it's going to go through today. If they want the product, they actually want it delivered to them on Friday. So we'll put that there. So I'm going to go ahead and generate a quote. Now remember, a lot of times a quote, you might do it just so you can make sure you're giving them the most accurate pricing. So, if they've got quantity break prices or you've got specials that are running for a particular range of dates, you want to be able to give the customer a quote of what they're going to get. So again, I can go in here, I pick my product, and you can see, remember, every time you see that checking in SAP, that's where we're going back through, again, using the DI API and validating using the standard B1 pricing engine to make sure we've got the correct price. So I can go in here and I can select my warehouse and I can now see, well, these are my warehouses and there is my stock availability. So it's the general warehouse. I've got 1,015 in stock. So I can say to the customer, hey, yep, I've got 1,015 of those available. So we'll select that warehouse. And then of course, when you select the warehouse here, it's always showing that available quantity for you. And then I can say, well, they wanted 10 of these. I know I've got plenty. Again, you see that checking in SAP. It's validating that pricing, make sure that's correct. I'm going to give them, in this case, a 10% discount. Okay, so they're getting that 10% discount. And then now you'll see I've got all my information here. Now, you see how it says tax will be calculated in SAP. That's because there are so many different tax engines now with SAP Business One. It's impossible for us to have one UI that matches through to every single localization. So that's part of the reason why you'll see that tax will be calculated in SAP. All right, but that's it. I add that line. If I want to add a new line, we'll go and grab another product just for the sake of the exercise. Again, which warehouse? The general warehouse 726, and they want 5 of these. So that's it. So that's my quote is now done. All right. So then I can simply go into that quote now and I can hit save. And of course, when I'm saving the quote, it's now going to ask me, do you want to email this quote to the customer? And remember, with Enterprise, you can tailor those templates that get sent out. So again, I'll say, yes, I want that quote to go through. And then once the quote has been generated, you see the sales quote is now saved. I can still go back in now because it's a quote. I can go back in and edit it. Okay, but there it is, sales quote 1184. Customer comes back to me and says, yep, I'd like to go ahead. Maybe I've got them on the phone still and they say, yeah, let's go ahead. So one click converts it to an order, or of course, I can now go back to the My Quotes view and there is that quote I've just done. And so I can select that quote, bring it up, make sure that's all okay, make some changes if I want to, or I can just say convert to order. All right. So there it is. It's now converted that quote into an order. Again, got all my stock availability information has come through. But of course, if I want to now, I can go and make some changes. Maybe I've agreed that they're going to get an extra discount on this particular product. Maybe on this particular product, I'm going to give them 15% discount. All right. And maybe on this one, they've said, you know what, I'll buy 20 if you can give me a 15% discount. So great, you'll take 20, I'll give you a 15% discount, and you're good to go. Now, remember, the reason why Enterprise is such a great solution for customers, particularly the sales order capability, I don't know if you've got any customers who they have particularly busy times of year. So there might be those times of year where they just love to be able to switch on some extra users in the system. Well, Enterprise is great for that because you can sign them on and, as a customer, and then they could say to you, you know what, I need an extra 10 sales users for 3 months. No problem. With Enterprise, you can do that. All right. Now, in particular, the only issue we don't have any control over is the SAP Business One licensing side. But if you've supplied them the DI server, then of course that allows for an unlimited number of users. So your enterprise users can go up and down without having any impact on your SAP license value. All right, so good to know that you've got all that capability. So there it is. There's my quote has now been turned into a sales order, and of course I can then just go in here. I hit my save button. You'll see this has actually been scheduled for delivery for the 15th of the 7th, and there it is. Posting date June 15th. All right, so there's my sales order. That email can now go through to the customer. And then what I can now do is I can go here into my deliveries. And because that delivery has now been scheduled, there it is, delivery number 1182, or sorry, sales order number 1182 based on quote number 1184. I can go in here into my scheduler and I'm able to go and select that delivery. There it is, delivery 1182, and I can say, you know what, I want to deliver that at 2 p.m. tomorrow. So again, all I need to do is go to 2 p.m., select the delivery driver that I want to make the delivery, and then I click, drag, and drop against 2 p.m. tomorrow. The system processes that, and then I get my sales order scheduled, and there it is. It appears now in my delivery schedule for tomorrow. So of course, I've still got the ability to go in here and I can look at that item. I can click on my details button. I can drill down and I can see there is the sales order detail. And of course, I can just go back using my web browser buttons, go backwards and forwards and see everything that's going on. Okay, and there it is. There's my order. There's an order I did from an earlier demo today, but then there's that order that we just did in our current session. So now let's see what happens from a delivery driver's perspective. So bear with me for 1 second. I'm just going to quickly bring my my mobile device up on the screen. So just stand by while I go on mute and pause my screen for a second. Okay, so my screen's back, and all things being equal, you should now be able to see my iPhone as well. So let's just dive back across here into all of our apps, and you'll see I actually have my enterprise delivery app. So what I've done is I've grouped all my enterprise apps together into a little app group called business, and you see there is my delivery app. Okay, so I've got my delivery app now open. And for those of you who haven't seen the app before, up in the top right-hand corner, that's our little synchronize button. So again, all you need to do is you just simply tap on the synchronize button, and it's going to go and it's going to pull through all of the delivery information that I need to know about. However, a couple of things. The system will always log you back in the apps to the last company and the last user that you were in. But in this particular instance, I'm logged in at the moment as Demo 3. That's actually not the account that I want. So I'm just going to quickly log out. I'm just going to log back in using this other account that I've got, which is Richard at oeccomputer.com. Okay, third time lucky. Looks like I've got my password correct the third time. All right, so there it is. I'm now logged in as that new delivery driver. Okay, so I can now see from my app, I can see my orders, I can see my deliveries, my returns, plus if you're using van stock, I've also got the ability to do my van stock count. So again, let's go in and you'll see here's all the sales orders that I have that are available. 1181, there it is. There's that sales order that I've just created a little bit earlier today, I think. I think that was the earlier one. Yes, it was. So I can see that order. I could look at it in detail. But I can also then go back here and say, look, just show me my deliveries. And now I'm the delivery driver. I can say, okay, I'm going to make that delivery. And you can see you've got the ability to record what time you arrived and what time you left. For those of you who've got customers that deal with some of the big retail chains, they're very fussy about things like that. You know, when did you get there? When did you leave? How long were you on site? All those kinds of things. So you can start tracking that information. And in a future release, we'll actually start to auto track that using the GPS information that is on the mobile device. Okay, so again, we'll say they were there for 20 minutes. And right now, this order actually only has one product. Okay, this is the JB Office Print 1420. But if needs be, if there were more than one product on that order, I would be able to go in and change the quantities that I was delivering. Let's say, for example, I got there and the customer said, you know what, actually, we ordered 10, but now we only want 5. If your business process allows you to do that, you could go ahead and change that. But effectively now, all I do is I go in here, I ask the customer, you can't see me turning the device on its side, but I ask the customer to sign for the delivery. Maybe I then also want to take a photo showing that I actually made the delivery. So there's my little refrigerator and speaker over in the corner of the room. Take a photo. Yep, I've made the delivery. I'm going to use that photo. And that's it. I hit the deliver button. And so the system automatically then pushes through into SAP Business One that sales order has now been delivered. Now, if by chance you're offline, what the system will do, let's say, for example, you don't have an internet connection at this particular point in time, what it will do is it will go into this queue of queued deliveries. So it'll say, look, it's a delivery that's been completed, but it's sitting there in the queue. And then when you come back online, you can then push that delivery through. All right. So you'll see that delivery is, because I was online, that delivery has actually completed. So we're good to go. All right, so that's it. It's fast, it's simple, and it's easy. And for those of you who may be a little bit skeptical, I'm just going to go in here now. Let me just pop up my Firefox application, because I always like to, whenever possible, do these demos in Firefox. I'm just going to bring up my HANA web client. So bear with me for 1 second. There it is. And I'm just going to log in. And I'm going to pick my US demo database because that's the one that I was just using. I'm going to log in as manager. And all right, so now when I go into my SAP Business One system, of course, what you'll then see is that sales order. If I go back here into sales, just giving the B1 web client a bit of time to spin up there. Wasn't planning on doing this in the webinar, but we've got a bit of extra time, so I thought, why not? So if I go in here into sales, I go and I look at my sales orders now. And I look at my last sales order that's in the system. That's that order number 1182. But if I go back one, there's 1181. You'll now see that this sales order is now closed, all right, because the order has been completed. And I don't know if you're aware, but in the web browser client now, you have the ability to use the relationship map, as well as you now have the ability to print. So you'll now see there is the delivery that was created as a result of me processing that sales order. So the end-to-end process is complete. It's online, it's mobile, it's instantaneous. If you do happen to go offline, the system will cope with that. So that is the quote to a delivery process with Enterpryze.